Hi everyone, another top 10. This time I'm talking about national special rules. So, the top 10 national special rules for bold action. I will note here that this is before Case Blue comes out. So, Case Blue might shift this around a little bit in the meta. You guys will all yell at me in the comments anyway, I know. So, and this is of course just my personal opinion. It's based on what I like and what I see competitively. So, and not all the national special rules are actually the top armies as such, because there's a difference between having the best national special rule and having the best army. Because national special rules, in order to have that as the best army, you still need good units, right? So, let's go and see. Now, what makes a good national special rule? For me, it needs to have synergy with the rest of your army. So so the rule that you have to sort of fit the play style of that army and have to lend itself to a certain play style. And it's even better if there are certain units in the army that benefit massively from that synergy uh, between the national special rules and the units. Some armies have national special rules that does nothing for the units, and armies like that, I can't use that for anything. So synergy with the units, synergy with the playstyle, where it sort of lends itself to one playstyle, and it needs to have a competitive edge. It needs to bring that army to the forefront of something, right? It needs to give it that one edge, and that's actually where I can go and just watch what armies do I actually see on the tabletop. Um, and there are some of these national special rules that make an army. Um, Some of them don't do it quite enough, but some of them actually, it's the national special rule. Without that, the army wouldn't be as good. So, and it wouldn't be taken as much competitively either. Right. Number 10, way down at the bottom, is access support. And this is actually a pretty good one. It's available to Bulgaria, Romania, and Hungary, uh, as per right now. Um, and it's really great for boosting your build, because you can do different things with it. You can take different access units into your army. Most people will either go for some artillery support or for an extra tank. Both of these are great, especially in single platoon, where you're sort of limited by the selection, by the army selection method, uh, the slots available. Um, However, it doesn't really synergize that well. It boosts your build, but it doesn't really synergize with a specific army, where it synergizes with that sort of playstyle necessarily, although it can give you a few extra units to fit your playstyle. Competitive? Not really. It doesn't really work that well. We don't see Bulgaria, Romania, and Hungary do well right now. Could they in the future? Maybe. But right now they're not winning tournaments and they're not in the top 10 at all. So, as a competitive evaluation, as a competitive edge, it fails a little bit, and that's why it's low on the list. But I do see the synergy with your army build as being something that could potentially benefit this, especially in, as I said, single platoon packs. Number 9 is the free units. Now, loads of armies get these. Great Britain gets one, gets some. Of course, the British Indians get two if you're running like that, which is insane. France gets, Belgium, Romania. There are several. Right. These are great, basically for boosting your slots in, mostly it's infantry, right? Although some arty with France and Belgium. Um, they're not massively game breaking, although they can be in low points. So if you go below 1,000 points, those three units are actually a vast percentage of your army, and that can be game breaking. So I would not recommend actually allowing in your pack, if you're running Recon Rumble style tournaments. I would suggest that you simply disallow free units, um, because they massively skew the game when you go down below 1,000 points. Um, if you go above 1,000 points, they become less useful and less important. So it's not really game breaking. They can synergize well in some builds, like British Indian tank platoons that take both the artillery observer and the free Indians. Suddenly they get extra infantry, which is one of the things that tank platoons typically lack. So that's a massive boon to them. Um, Romanian leaf blower units, where you have tons of HE sitting in the back line, also that really helps. Is it competitive? Well, it works in every single game, right? It always benefits you. So that it's not something where it's situational, where you have to have this specific situation, you have to be charging, or you have to have pins or whatever. It's always there. The free unit is always there. Is it massively useful? Um, for Soviets, I feel like the free unit for Soviets is quite often an extra bonus because especially in horde lists where you already have a lot of infantry. It's a nice thing to have that extra, and sometimes, at least in British Indians, if you allow that combo, it can be, but it's not always a massive benefit. And basically, I think I there are things I would rather have than that free unit, to be honest. So it's not a massive one. Number 8, Counterparts and Experts. Now, this is for Bulgaria, and this is great for board control. It's extremely good. I wish more nations had this. It really sucks that it has this huge potential. For those of you who don't know what it is, against Bulgaria, you can't outflank, you can't forward deploy. You're going to have to fight them head on because they are counterparts and experts. You just can't. Yep, it's not allowed, even though the mission may allow it. So it has a huge potential to control the board. There's a lot of board control in this one. However, it really doesn't synergize that well because the Bulgarian army is not great. If it was a massive leaf blower army that had loads of could take loads of guns or had infantry that you didn't want to close to, well, okay. But as is, the Bulgarians are just subpar. Um, so the national special rule is really great, but it really doesn't match the army that it's for. Competitive, it does become situational, right? Because it's not all missions that you even can outflank in, not all terrain that you want to outflank in, not all terrain you want to forward deploy or missions you want to forward deploy. So it's very situational whether it's worth it or not. And as I've said, we're not seeing Bulgarians do well competitively at all. They're not even in the top 20, I think. So no, it's not there. Has huge potential though. Number 7, modern comms for Americans. That is really great to have. Um, it's the rule where the Americans don't get -1 for coming onto the board from outflank or from reserves. It is really helpful. It helps in most games where you have reserves or outflanks, which for Americans you can pretty much do and guarantee, especially like veteran American tanks. If you have a veteran tank that has all that gyro stabilizer and all that coming on from the outflank, you're very likely to get that veteran, right? 10 plus. Um, it's great for ball control because you know when your reserves or you don't know, but you're very likely to get them when you want them. It does lend itself to a slightly reactive playstyle where you have outflankers and reserves, which I feel like also benefits Americans a little bit. I think many American armies are played a little bit more reactively than I like to play with my Brits, at least. But it's not a massive, amazing synergy. I mean, the units that Americans can throw in on the outflank are not like game breaking. So it's not massively amazing. It's okay. And it's and it's a situational bonus that comes off quite often. But not game breaking. Um, so yeah, pretty okay. And a little bit of bonus in most games. Number 6, That is the Great Patriotic War, No Hope of Retreat, which is the morale bonus that the Soviets and the Polish get. So you re-roll morale tests. That is a massive, absolutely cannot be understated, a massive boost to the staying power of any army. Now, the staying power might not be a lot in some builds, if you're building Horde Soviets, for instance, but if you're running like veteran Polish Lancers, for instance, these guys are very, very likely to stick around even though they get hit with a flamethrower or whatever. So there's not a massive amount of synergy, but it is there, and it's sort of okay-ish. Um, Again, the competitive evaluation for me is that it's situational. I'm not seeing that it matters in all games, but it matters in some, where you have to take that test, and you don't make it the first time, you're gonna make it the second one. The thing that makes it that puts it down to a sixth place for me is that you're gonna have to have lost half your unit or being hit by a flamethrower when you get that roll. So you're already pretty beaten up when you're rolling the dice for that morale test. Which, yeah, it's just not the way that most units are killed in bolt action. So it is a little bit situational, but a lot more useful than some of the others that we've already been through. So, number 5, into the top 5. For me, that's Vengeance, the British Vengeance, which is a rule that benefits your whole army. Um, so all regular or veteran units that are within 12 of an enemy, before they get an order, when you assign an order dice to them, they get to roll 1d6. If you roll 4 plus, you may remove 1 pin from the unit. This is a massively useful special rule, and it lends itself really well with push or assault armies because you're pulling off those pins, right? And it's quite often useful, although it's only 50% of the time, so it's not something you can count on, which is my one caveat, right? That it becomes a little bit situational because you're gonna have to roll that dice and be a little bit lucky, right? Um, so it's not something that you can always guarantee is going to come, which may sometimes lead you to take a little bit of a risk where you have like one pin, you want those regulars to do something, you take the chance, you don't roll it, and then you fail your order test and you have lost it anyway, right? But your chances of getting that is greater. It's just sometimes I think you take more chances when you do this. For me, what really makes this work is that it's not just situational for some of your army. All your army can get this if you're not running inexperienced dudes. Number 4, Fanatic. Now, um, Japan is right now not in the top competitive bracket at all, but I'll argue that their Fanatic special rule really is beneficial to them because it has great synergy with the thing that Japan has the most of, namely infantry and the other national special rules. Coming back to those. Um, it really lends itself to an aggressive playstyle where the Japanese player will try to push into close combat most often. So it has certain builds that really work based on this Fanatic, right? The Horde Japanese with militia or bamboo spear fighters, or the veteran Japanese with their veteran Fanatics, or even the cavalry Japanese with the tough fighter Manchukuo cavalry that are Fanatics. All of that really works well because it works well with assault units. The only thing that draws a little bit down here is the lack in Japanese selectors the lack of access to Tough Fighter. That is really what draws this a little bit back. If you had more Tough Fighter in Japan, I think this would be a massive bonus to build assault armies, Japanese assault armies that can really mess up the enemy. So competitive evaluation, it works in most Japanese games, especially because it's what has brought down the flamethrower meta, basically. Japanese armies, because they're Fanatic, can't be hurt by flamethrowers, and that helped kill off the flamethrower method that was running on full steam like 1 or 2 years back. Um, that went away because of Japan. So for me, number 4, Fanatics. Number 3, Bonsai. So, and I'll here add Bonsai and Up and Atom, the two rules here, like the Japanese version and the British version. Um, these are absolutely key to assault armies because they keep your army moving, they keep your army assaulting even when you're pinned, which is what will stop most assault armies. Pins will stop assault armies in their tracks, um, and and this just sheds pins and it or ignores them, and keeps your army moving forward. You can even, and this is gamey, I know, but you can sit in your back line, have view to one enemy unit all the way like 36 inches away, and say Bonsai, and you move towards it. Why? Because you can see it. You know you can't hit it, but you can still run towards it. Um, so and for Brits, shedding those pins as you're up and at them, key, absolutely key. So it has great synergy with the infantry and the national special rules for Japan, because they have fanatics, and for Brits because Great Britain has the best assault units of the game, Gurkhas, Paragurkhas. So the synergy there is amazing. It lends itself really well to aggressive playstyles, and it works. It really does work. I proved this recently at World Open War, where I took my British Assault Army and won the tournament, basically. So yeah, it really works. And it works in most games. The one time that I didn't take Up and Atom for my Assault Brits, I did still okay, but I missed it. So I think this is needed for most Assault Army builds. Um, so that is my number 3. And this is actually maybe the one national special rule that lends itself to building the competitively greatest armies right now, by the way. The British Gurkha army, um, which is not an easy army to play. I know that some people say it's an auto win or whatever. Try it, and the first many games you'll be beaten. But once you learn it, once you know how to work it, if you're a good player, then it really is one of the greatest builds there is. Right. So the top 2. For me, number 2 is trained Huntsman. Now, it's available to Finland, and I've heard rumors that some of it may become available to some specialized German units in Case Blue, maybe. But for Finland, it is that you gain a +1 to shoot from ambush. And this has amazing synergy with the Sissy units. The Sissy recon units, because they can move and go on ambush, they can advance, go on ambush. That means that they're always shooting at +1. So they start on 2+, right? Because they're always on ambush. That is amazing synergy. It's the best synergy of the game, hands down. And it does mean that the one build that you're building with the Finnish is always take as many CC units as you can, justify to yourself, because you may need a few guys to carry Panzerfausts, and the sissies don't get the Panzerfausts. So, and this makes, like, man for man, I think this makes the Finnish veterans the best infantry of the game, because they can also buy tough fighters, so you don't want to get into close combat with them. Best skirmishers, infantry of the game. Their shots are absolutely deadly. However, the army build, the Finnish army build, is not the best army build in the world, right? The Finns are not winning the tournaments right now. So even though they have the best national special rules, they don't have the best army. And that's like my one caveat for this is that it sort of it lacks a little bit. Competitively, it works in almost all Finnish games. I've seen this work. The only thing that is needed is for you to take the sissies or go on ambush with all your units, which most Finnish players have learned long ago to do. Number one. For me, that is the American move and fire. Move and fire is bloody amazing. It's sort of a +1 as well, because it means that even though you're advancing, you're not getting the -1 to shoot, which all other armies are. So it keeps your army moving, it keeps it shooting. It only works on infantry, okay, but it works on all rifles and all BARs, which is the two most common weapons taken by American armies. Every American army will have these weapons in it. And I think every American build that wants to be competitive will have these weapons in it. There's no reason as American to take SMGs or LMGs, no reason at all, because rifles and BARs are just way better, way better. That +1 to move and fire, and it synergizes so well with the one thing that Americans are good at here. The American infantry is great skirmish infantry, and this is the top skirmish rule. It keeps you moving, it keeps you shooting all the time. Yes, the Finnish go on ambush is great, but the American one is even greater because it works all the time and it works for all their infantry at an optimal level. Um, so in that respect, for me, it's even better. And at the same time, American armies are actually doing okay competitively. So whereas the Finns are lacking behind, Americans can still build really well built and competitive armies. And it works every single game. There's not one game where American infantry has not benefited from this. You hit more often, you shoot more often. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. This is, for me, the topmost national special rule. Let me know in the comments what you think. Did I get it wrong? I possibly did. You can yell at me all you like. And let's see what happens when Case Blue comes out. I'm hearing good things are coming to the Germans. I'm hearing good things are coming to the Italians as well. So we'll see. Right, that was it from me today. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.